We've got a wonderful guest coming up. Her name is Maggie Lockridge, and Maggie is the founder of a fantastic group called Iraq Star. She's going to tell us all about it, but it is a nonprofit foundation dedicated to providing reconstructive surgery to our Iraq War veterans. What is more wonderful than that? And Maggie, thank you for being here. I'm so excited you're here. It's such an important foundation.
Well, Jacqueline, I thank you for letting me share a rock star with your listeners.
Oh, you're very welcome, Maggie. Why don't we start in by your elaborating upon, first of all, the mission statement, and then I'd like you to tell my listeners how you started it and how things developed with it. What went on from there?
Well, our mission statement is very simple. It's to prevent the Iraq and Afghanistan wars from permanently disfiguring young lives. I'm sure everybody out there is aware that these young people are getting blown up with IEDs, the improvised explosive devices, and the RPGs, the rocket-propelled grenades. It's not just a simple bullet wound anymore. It's pretty devastating as far as the disfigurations, the burns, the other problems that they have. And that's where Iraq Star comes in. We're a national foundation, 225 board-certified plastic and reconstructive surgeons in 42 states now, all stepping up to help these young people, to help them step more readily back into their pre-war lives, shall we say, feel more comfortable in society again.
Well, one of the things that struck me, I think we're all struck by the fact that probably this figure is even higher now. Over 24,000 wounded veterans have returned to the United States. Many have received injuries that do require additional reconstructive surgery. And what I thought about was the fact that, yes, the Veterans Administration will take care of them with prosthetic arms and legs and essential skin grafting and so forth, but the aesthetic surgeries are not always offered, and these are the scars that affect each and every man and woman that comes back with them, and your foundation takes care of that. And I think it's very important for people to know your reason for existence. It's not like the Veterans Administration doesn't want to do it, but we have so many wounded coming by, and so they take care of the life-threatening situation, and you go on from there. Now, when did you found this, Maggie?
I founded Iraq Star in February of 2007 after watching the Bob Woodruff special. I think many of you
Yes.
remember the journalist that had traumatic brain injury while covering the war in Iraq. And about a year into his recuperation, he did a documentary, and he took us into VA hospitals around the country and introduced us to many of our recuperating veterans. And it was so apparent to me that they had so many disfigurations, mostly facial. And with my background, I have 18 years in the plastic and reconstructive nursing arena in Beverly Hills, and so many contacts with the Beverly Hills surgeons that I thought, you know what, I can put something together to help these young people.
Now, what's important, too, is the first surgeon that you contacted, probably, from what I understand, didn't even think twice about saying yes to you. And who was that surgeon? I think we want to mention his name.
Well, he's a very special doctor. I sent out 30 letters initially to my 30 favorite surgeons, and the day that Dr. Norman Leaf received his, I received a phone call, and he said, Maggie, do you have your medical director yet? And I kind of said, no, I'm trying to get my volunteers and get my act together right now. That's still another step I have to take. And he said, well, you're not going to look any further. You have one, and it's myself.
Great? That is so great. I'd like to mention, too, for our listeners, that one of our local doctors is part of your group, and that's Dr. Sifonio.
Yes, he is.
And we all know Dr. Sifonio, and he's highly thought of, and I think the fact that he is involved in this just is fantastic. Maggie, you had a huge event not too long ago in Beverly Hills, was it not? Why don't you tell us about that event? What went on there?
Well, it was our fundraiser for 2009, and it was held at the Universal Hilton Hotel. We had 580 men and women for a sit-down dinner. We had 200 on our wait list. It was an absolutely heartfelt evening. It was something that was extremely exciting. Dr. Phil was our MC. We honored Gary Sinise because he's with CSI New York, but many of you may not be aware that he also takes airplane loads of product to our soldiers and our troops, fighting troops in Iraq. And he also takes a lot of supplies to the children of Iraq.
I think didn't he even go to Iraq with his band. I seem to recall that going on, and certainly you read a lot about Gary, so he was a great one for you to honor.
He does. I mean, he has contributed so much. He has the Lieutenant Dan Band, and he takes the Lieutenant Dan Band all over, like with the USO, and entertains troops with it. The evening also had an entertainer. Dennis Miller came along and entertained us, which was truly a lot of fun, as you know he can certainly be. And we had an American Chopper bicycle that was custom designed for us by Paul Tuttle of American Choppers, and this bike was fantastic.
You know, I saw that on your website, and I think this would be a good place to mention your website as well, Maggie. What is that?
IraqStar.org, and that's www.iraqstar.org.
Let's mention the phone number also, too, because this is not only for our listeners who might want to donate or to be on a list for your next event, but also for any of the military or former military that are listening that need some help. So what is that telephone number?
It's 760-568-4039.
For my listeners, we are talking to Maggie Lockridge, who is the founder of Iraq Star, a wonderful group to help. It's a nonprofit foundation helping to provide reconstructive surgery to wounded and disfigured Iraq and Afghanistan war victims. Now, talking about the website, it's a wonderful opportunity for you out there to go on and see, because there's a video also from the event. And it's just wonderful to see the men and women of our armed forces that were there and their families. It was very touching, Maggie.
Well, thank you so much. You know, there's something else I'd like to let your listeners be aware of, and that's the fact that we have our own motto, and it's honor back. And we do provide wristbands, they're desert camo wristbands, on our website. And with a $10 donation, we will send you one, and you can honor the troops, whether they're relatives, husbands, whatever, that you may know that are serving our country.
Well, that's a great fundraiser. Not only that, but a great way for people to participate as well. Now, Maggie, you had mentioned to me before we started taping and talking that you were going to be going to New York City. Tell us a little bit about that. What's going on there?
Well, you know, my daughter, Michaela Bensko, is our vice president and director of media relations, and she traveled with Gary Sinise last September to New York City to share in the 9/11 ceremonies that they were holding. And at that point, she did meet many, many people involved with the veterans. And we are going back to attend a major event that's going to be honoring J.R. Martinez at Gotham Hall, and that's on Tuesday night, the 10th. And on Tuesday afternoon, a very exciting little venture will take place, and that the fire department of New York City will be picking Michaela and I up and taking us to New Jersey to the Wall of Remembrance. I've been to the 9/11 site, but not to the Wall of Remembrance. And the next day, on Wednesday morning, we're going to get up and fly to Chicago because the Blackhawks are holding a memorable game for our veterans for Veterans Day, and they're going to come out on the ice in desert camo jerseys, and the arena's going to be filled with veterans, and we're going to be in the owner's box with 20 other very special invited veteran-oriented individuals, and I'm truly looking forward to this.
Oh, good for you. Well, Maggie, you know, you deserve it, and I do want to mention, because I know you won't mention it, not only has your experience been in the cosmetic field, but you did have military experience during the Vietnam War. And it left you, and the story is in your brochure, it left you with a deep dedication to the troops. and it was at your retirement that you went back to the troops, and you are to be commended, highly commended on that.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
absolutely incredible. Well, what's coming up next for Iraq Star? You having any fundraisers yet on the horizon, or what's going to happen?
I think we're going to recuperate from this last
Oh,
one.
I bet you are.
For a couple of months, and then we'll plan our next one. It might be in a different city. We're thinking of Washington, D.C., because we have so many wounded warriors that we're caring for and affiliates in the D.C. area. Walter Reed is there, of course. And, right now I need to get back to my warriors because we have 12 in the system right now that are getting their surgeries or else going on their consults. And, many of these warriors need more than one procedure. So they could be in the program for a year and a half or 2 years because the surgeons usually like at least a year to go by in between surgery so that full healing can take place before they do the next surgery.
Well, that's the other thing that I think it's important for listeners to know, and another reason to go onto the website, not only to learn more, but to see photographs of these people and the horrendous, horrendous scars that they had beforehand and then after what was done for them. It's absolutely incredible, and you can just see the joy on their faces. So it's not there so we can all be a voyeur. It is there so that we can see why we want to support Iraq Star, and that's absolutely incredible. I do wish, though, you would also continue to have something going within Southern California that we can all be involved in. And maybe at some point of time, Iraq Star is getting so big that you might want to someday have little or big auxiliaries, or however you want to call it, support groups in the various cities that can then help you even further with it. Have you ever considered that?
Well, Jacqueline, yes, obviously we want to become as large as we possibly can be nationally so that more warriors are aware that we are here for them. We are very closely affiliated with Wounded Warriors and Marine Moms and so many different militaryconnection.com. There are so many of them out there that do have us already on their website. And we do advertise every month in the Marine and Army-based newspapers and have the inside back cover of the Marine magazine this month. And it's birthday month for the Marines, so they're going to very truly be aware of our presence when they do get their magazine this month.
So we have a few seconds, Maggie. What final words would you like to have for our listeners?
Well, I think, I'd like to make them aware that although our surgeons do donate their services, Iraq Star does pay for all of the expenses. There are no expenses to our warriors, and I thank you so much for having me on your show. I appreciate it very, very much.